How's it going, folks? Welcome to another TKO exclusive from the Kickout, your weekly pro wrestling guide. I'm Dave Cullen. For this exclusive, we're going to have a preview for the NLW First Impact show that will be happening at the Moat Theatre in Abbey Street, Naas on Sunday, September 23rd. We had a chat with promoter Jamie Colman about the event. Now, we had a chat about all the matches coming up. Of course, there's a huge range of matches coming up. They'll be crowning a new champion where Alexander Dean, Nathan Martin, Sean Guinness, Justy and a mystery opponent will be having a match to decide a new champion in a five-way dance. There's some really good matches there from familiar faces who may have been part of the NLW roster before, the likes of Paul Tracy, the Kings of the North, Be Cool, Danny Butler, to newer faces such as Callum Black, Gunter Isaac and Rebecca Reisner. We also talked to Jamie about the past of No Limits Wrestling, how it first came about back in 2006 and what caused it to come back to the way it is now. So it's a very interesting chat, so let's get straight to it. Here is our interview we did with Jamie Colman talking about the NLW First Impact show coming up.
What? Look at what we have here, folks!
So now here on the Kickouts, we're going to have a special preview of No Limits Wrestling, who'll be returning for their First Impact show happening Sunday, September 23rd at the Moat Theatre in Abbey Street in Naas. So tell us more about it now. Joining us on the line now is Jamie Colman. Jamie, thanks for joining us here on the Kickouts.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Dave.
No problem at all. So first of all, for anyone who's never heard of No Limits Wrestling, first of all, how did it first come about when it started?
No Limit Wrestling started in 2006. Myself and Joe Cabray, who now runs OTT, I think everyone knows, and a girl called Alex Breslin, we just got together and decided that basically we were just going to start it. It was a different time in wrestling back then in Ireland. The landscape was completely different to the way it is now. So we just had a vision to do something a little bit different than anyone else was doing at the time, and that's how it kind of started, with just the three of us sitting down one day and saying, you know, what other people are doing is great, but maybe we could do something a little bit different. So we just came up with the name No Limit Wrestling. I actually will give credit to Joe for coming up with the name back in the day for No Limit Wrestling, and it was August 2006 we done our first show. So it just came about as an idea back all those years ago. 12 years ago now. 12
years ago, wow. So, and what was different, let's say, with wrestling then compared to now? Like, you talk about the landscape as such, like with what went on then. What was different from then, or certainly compared to now?
I suppose back then it was wrestling in Ireland was generally a new thing then. It was, you're talking 2006, so like, to put it into perspective, the first wrestling school was 2002, which was started by Paul Tracy and Fergal Devitt, which was the NWA Ireland school. Yeah. Which then morphed into the Fight Factory Pro Wrestling School.
Right.
So there was those guys, and then there was Irish Whip Wrestling, where it had a school as well. I think their school came about just maybe a year or so after the NWA school. So there was basically those two promotions, and they were running shows, but they were running shows basically. They were trainee shows. They were the guys that were training in the schools on the shows. So our idea basically, when it came to 2006, and you know, there was guys that were getting good. It was basically, the idea was, well, you know, you've got NWA over here running shows, you've got Irish Wrestling over here running shows. Up the north at that point you had UCW running shows,
right?
Ulster Championship Wrestling. So the whole idea for ourselves was, if we were to take the best from each promotion and put them all together, because at that point there was no talk of somebody from Irish Whip Wrestling, say, doing, you know, NWA Ireland shows. That was, you know, it happened once or twice, but it wasn't a regular occurrence at all.
Right.
I suppose it was pretty much stick to your own promotion or your own school, as the case was. So our idea was, we didn't have a school, so we were just putting together shows, and to put together the best shows, the idea was to take the best from from all the schools even that were out there. And that's what we did. That's what we did on our first show, which was kind of unheard of back then. So that's why all those years ago it was kind of a big deal to do what we were doing. Whereas now it's different because everybody works everywhere. But when we started, that wasn't the case at all. So it was kind of, I don't want to say, revolutionary in any way, but it was kind of a new concept at that point, at that time in 2006.
I see what you mean. So it's like, so back then it was almost unheard of for like particular wrestlers, like say, to work in different promotions such as they're working now, as opposed to back then where it was more like they stick to their own as much, whereas you guys brought them out and went from there.
You kind of had your NWA Ireland shows, you had your IWW shows, and then you had your Ulster Championship Wrestling shows up the north. And there was a couple there was a Celtic Pro Wrestling as well around that time.
Yeah.
But again, they all just, if you left the Irish Whip School to go and wrestle in the Celtic Pro Wrestling School, you were gone from Irish Whip Wrestling shows. You were only going to be on the Celtic Pro Wrestling shows.
I see.
So, it was just, our idea was to just mix it all up and do something a little bit different, and maybe just focus a little bit more on production and stuff as well, which wasn't a focus of a lot of places back then. It was, we just kind of had this vision to do it a little bit differently, not to say we were doing it better, because without those schools there wouldn't have been anybody to book on the shows, there wouldn't have been any talent, and not to suggest we were going to do it better, but we were just going to do a different kind of a show, a different kind of product than what was out there at that particular time. It was just to bring the best of what was there and put them all together and see what happened, and it kind of worked out really well,
That's awesome. So what eventually brought the return now of No Limits Wrestling now? Like, because it's my understanding now, NLW eventually became or certain credentials, if you like, went into OTT then when that started. So what has brought about the return then of No Limits Wrestling? I suppose
No Limit Wrestling was, it kind of morphed into just being myself that was promoting it. Joe kind of went off and done his own thing. Eventually he went to the States and was working for WWE for a little while, and then he came back and started OTT. So it kind of became just me, and it was primarily being promoted in the venue that we're going back to in Naas, the Moat Theatre. It kind of morphed into just that venue, and the odd time we would venture outside that venue. And then a few years ago, like just to be perfectly honest, I just got a pain in my ass with it, to be honest with you. It just became something that was it just wasn't as important to me at that point in my life. And well, I've always loved wrestling, obviously, and always will at this stage, I think it's safe to say, but promoting the shows just became a bit of a grind, and it just needed to be something that took a back seat in my own life for a little while.
Yeah.
And I always said that when the want comes back for it, then I'll do it again. So I think with the way wrestling has evolved in this country over the past few years, the want has come back now to do it again. So that was the promise I made, that I won't do it until I really want to do it. So I really want to do it again now, and that's why we're coming back. And I think the ideal venue is the Moat Theatre Naas. I think it's always been a fond venue for the talent, and the guys that run the Moat Theatre are really, really good to us, and we have a good relationship with them. So it was kind of a no-brainer to go back there after all the years.
I was going to ask you just about Naas as well, like, because as you said, as I've done a bit of research before this chat with you, Jamie, about how a lot of NLW's shows, particularly in the late 2000s, were in Naas. So what does it mean to you to have the return show back there?
It's funny, like I've always I like the venue. I like the venue a lot, and I like the people that run the venue. I've always had a really good relationship with them. The first show we done there was September 2006, so like they've always been really, really good to us. They've always looked after us really well. So I like it as from a promoting standpoint. It's a good venue to run because they're very cooperative. You know, a big thing is back in the day it was, you know, you pay on the door when you're going to see wrestling. Now it's all Eventbrite.ie and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot easier for promotions now to gauge how their show is doing leading up to it. You know, the week before they can check, well, how many tickets have I got sold? What do I need to do here? But that wasn't the way it used to be. You used to just kind of rely on what you did advertising wise, and then just hope that the people showed up on the night, and it didn't always work out that way. You know, so
yeah,
you hope for a couple of hundred people, and you might get 22 people. So it you know, that can be heartbreaking as well. But the thing I always liked about the Moat Theatre was they sell the tickets for you from the box office, so it's kind of cool. You can gauge how it's doing, and you know, from a promotion standpoint, it was always a really good venue. And it's funny, only when we announced we were going to come back there, I figured out, I learned that a lot of the wrestlers that have performed on shows in the Moat over the years, that venue holds a special place in their heart as well. And I didn't really realise that.
Okay.
That they kind of have it as I think it's sentimental for a few of them because it was a venue that we always went to, and we always done good shows, and we had, you know, the same people come back to see us. And so, you know, the kind of likes of Katie Harvey got on to me when she saw that it was coming back, and she voiced how you know, that venue means something to her. And same with the guys from Rough Stuff, and Danger Donna O'Donoghue, who she loves that venue, and she's been a great help now with promoting the upcoming show and stuff. So she was delighted to hear that was going back to that venue as well. And it's a venue that in theory shouldn't be good for wrestling, but it really is, because it's a theatre style. So it's only the audience is on one side as opposed to 3 or 4.
Right.
And in theory that shouldn't work, but it really does work in there because the stage area is at ground level and the seating is tiered.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it kind of works really well. Whereas over the years with other promotions, we you know, I've done shows with other guys that will do it in the theatre,
right,
and the ring will be raised up on a stage, which doesn't work. But in this venue, because it's on ground level, it actually worked really well. And so I think that's and the entrance is good because you kind of come down through the crowd for the entrance. So
yeah.
But yeah, a lot of guys and girls have pointed out how that venue means something to them, and they're happy that it's the venue that we're going back to, and hopefully it's the venue that we can continue to run in.
Plus, as you said,
as time goes forward.
Yeah, plus as you said, like it has a great sentimental value to a lot of the guys, certainly guys who've worked for NLW before, so it makes it that extra bit special for them coming back for sure as well.
Well, yeah, and it's a lot of guys now that are kind of that are doing really well on the Irish scene, but going back, you know, like 6, 7, 8 years ago, they may have started on the shows in the Moat Theatre. I know Be Cool, who's doing really well right now. You know, he just started out by coming into those shows and done Timekeeper once. And
that right?
You know, so then to be able, you know, for him to go back and go, geez, I just sat there one day and done Timekeeper, and now I get to go out onto the main show. Is, you know, I suppose that would hold a sentimental place in people's memories, you know.
That's pretty awesome, man.
So yeah, it's good.
So
go back. We're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So I was going to just ask you there, is there what in particular do you hope to expect from the promotion going forward? Like especially if you hope to keep doing shows over in Naas, in the Moat Theatre, or even beyond. Yeah, I mean, look, ideally, you know, there's an awful lot of wrestling out there at the moment. Absolutely.
On our small island, OTT is booming. You know, you've got PWU up the north, you've got Phoenix down south, you've got a lot of wrestling. So it realistically, I'm personally not looking to run monthly shows or bi-monthly shows, kind of the way OTT does or anything like that. Basically, what we're looking to do here is we're looking to promote shows, obviously, and we want that No Limit Wrestling brand to grow, and we want to be able to continue to run shows throughout next year, but we don't want to ram it down people's throats either.
Yeah.
We don't want to make out that we are, we don't want to say we're coming every month, because we're not. That's not what we're doing. We want to put on really good shows. We want to give people entertainment, and I always look at it. We're running on a Sunday afternoon. We're not taking ourselves too seriously. We're going to have fun with it. We're going to, it's Sunday afternoon entertainment. It's going to be that sort of that Contenders feel almost.
Yeah.
There's a different feel when you go to an afternoon show at OTT Contenders than you do when you go to a main OTT show on Saturday night. It's a bit more relaxed. It's a bit more fun, and that's kind of what we're going to be aiming for. And everyone from 5 years old to 50 years old is going to have a good time, and that's basically what we're aiming for. It's going to be, obviously, wrestling has changed so much, the business has changed so much over the years, so there is that need to evolve with the wrestling business, and we're doing that as well. And that's by having the guys that we have booked for the shows, the matches we have booked for the shows. We're gonna, the idea is to have this variety show of where people will watch in awe, they laugh, the whole shebang. It's gonna be a variety show, and it's gonna be good. It's not. We're not looking to. How do I word it? Obviously, we're going to have really good wrestling, but we're not looking to go online and read all the reviews about the 5-star matches we had. We want to read the reviews where people go, you know what, we had a really good time that day, and that's basically what it is.
Okay, that makes sense. And as you say, it's something for everybody, similar to the Contender shows like the OTT too. So that's exactly. Has a big appeal to it for sure.
And not to knock any other promotion, but everyone kind of probably knows about wrestling.ie, who've done a couple of shows in this venue over the past couple of years when I wasn't running No Limit Wrestling.
Right.
And not to knock their shows, but their shows they are aimed specifically at, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but they are aimed specifically, in my view, at children and parents of young children.
Right.
And that's it. There's nothing else. You've got the goodies versus the baddies, and that's not to say that formula doesn't work in certain towns, but around the country, maybe smaller towns. But I don't personally feel that formula works anymore, because it works up on kids up to a certain age that like wrestling. But wrestling fans, when you're 9 years old and you're a wrestling fan. When I was 9 years old, I watched WWF on TV, and that was it. But 9-year-olds today can go onto YouTube and watch clips from New Japan, clips from Ring of Honor, clips from OTT. So they're much more educated on what's out there.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can come in and give them the booyah, the goodie versus the baddie. I don't think you can give them that simplistic formula anymore. And when you're doing wrestling shows that are aimed at you kind of want the whole family to come. So you have to keep the 5-year-old entertained, but you have to keep the dad of the 5-year-old entertained as well.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So it can be a difficult thing to do, but you get that balance right, and it's golden. So that's what we're going for as well. Everyone's going to be entertained, and we are not going for that whole hokey 1980s style of you could almost say Butland style wrestling. That
I see what you mean.
Still exists out there. And that's not to knock what wrestling.ie are doing, because it works for them.
Yeah.
They have the over the top characters, and they've got the baddie is a baddie soldier, and like Sergeant Slaughter and stuff like that. But again, that obviously works for them in certain towns, and that's who they're marketing towards. But we just want to veer away from that and sort of come into 2018 and offer something a little bit more, with a bit more variety. And we want everyone from the biggest wrestling mark out there to the youngest kid out there to just enjoy themselves and have a great day.
Absolutely. Well, it definitely has all the promise for an
That's not a derogatory term, by the way.
Oh, no.
I am one.
Oh, no harm, no harm. Sure, listen, you're talking to one yourself right now. Like, why else would we be doing this?
Just
like,
two wrestling marks.
There we are.
Now.
Yeah, absolutely. As all the makings for a great card, like, we'll go through all the matches that are happening at the moment.
Yeah.
You just announced this week, actually, that the Kings of the North, Damien Corvin and Bonesaw, will take on the team of Darren Carney and Michael May. Now, that's it's a nice mix of maybe the past of Irish wrestling, or certainly the current of Irish wrestling, is like, as well as the future at the moment as well, which seems to be a theme for a lot of the matches for this card.
Yeah, well, it's we want to have the established guys on there, obviously, but we also want to have people on there that haven't yet got their foot in the door on an OTT show or that bigger stage. So we have the likes of you were talking about the Kings of North. Obviously, Michael May and Darren Carney have got their foot well in the door because they're so talented. But just to veer off that match for a second, then you've got the likes of Cullen Black, who has yet to, has only just started on OTT contender shows.
Very impressive as well.
Very impressive. So it's guys like him that we can say, this might do you well. This will give you some experience to then step further, even. So there is that element of wanting to give people a shot that might not necessarily have got their shot yet. And again, going back to the venue, the Moat Theatre, like, it's a really good venue for the kind of younger guys and girls to get a good feel for how to do an entrance, because the entrance is it's a long entrance. It's through the audience downstairs, and you interact with the crowd when you're coming down. The lighting in the theatre is really good, so it's good to learn how to do lighting cues and stuff like that. So in that respect, the likes of Cullen Black and we have like Amy Alonzi and stuff, it's going to be it's kind of going to be educational for those guys as well, and we'll do them the world of good going on. But sorry, you were talking about the Kings of the North versus Michael May and Darren Carney, and yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself. It's going to be a really good match.
Absolutely.
All four of them have proven how good they are.
Absolutely.
You have a
great variety of matches. Like you were talking about, again, people who are trying to look for that experience. You mentioned Amy Alonzi, herself and LJ Cleary taking on the fabulous Nikki and Rebecca Reisner, who's another person who is yet to who is starting to we're seeing potential from, but we haven't actually seen in the shows yet as such. But someone who everyone is saying has all the potential in the world to be just there in a few years.
This is Rebecca you're speaking of?
Yes.
Yeah, because I saw Rebecca working on the main stage wrestling trainee shows, gym shows over the past couple of months, and she's somebody that, again, she'll benefit greatly from this show, because you can see it in her that she has the potential to, just before the bell rings, she has the potential to have the people eating out of the palm of her hand, because she has that, she's playing heel on those shows, and she's kind of a natural heel. So again, it's going to be really good. It's going to be interesting to see how she does on that slightly bigger stage, and again with the lighting cues, the entrance and stuff like that. It's going to be really interesting for her. And the same with Amy as well, because she's done more shows than Rebecca. So it's an interesting dynamic, and then to throw in the experience of Fabulous Nikki and LJ as well. I think that match, some people might look at it as a little bit of a throwaway mixed tag, but that's not what it's going to be at all. I think that's going to be one to watch. Absolutely. Speaking of tag matches, you mentioned Cullen Black being another example of someone who is yet to get that big push. Like, he will be teaming up with Gunter Isaac, who is another guy who has huge potential, against Danny Butler and Be Cool, who again are big names in the Irish wrestling scene as well. Yeah, well, you've got Be Cool and Danny, who are veterans at this stage, and Danny is Danny's one of the few hometown heroes that are on the show as well as Be Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So those two guys are they're County Kildare wrestlers, so they're kind of big baby faces in that venue.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have on the other side, you've got the two guys, Callum and Gunther, and I think both them guys are just I don't know if I'd say they're underrated, because I think everyone rates them, but those two guys have the potential to be huge over the next couple of years. I see a lot in Gunther Isaac, an awful lot in Gunther Isaac personally. I think he has an awful lot to give, and I kind of hope people just keep watching him and Colin Black, because those guys, they're going to be good. They're going to be big deals over the next few years.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, another really significant match, or a really interesting match like that's going to be coming up is Sir Paul Tracy, who's probably the godfather of Irish wrestling to some people. He'd be taking on probably one of the most exciting Irish wrestlers to watch, certainly this year, Scotty Davis.
Yeah, again, that's a match that you've really got the past and present of Irish wrestling and the future of Irish wrestling in there. Paul Tracy has been a part of Irish wrestling since the very, very beginning, and I don't think he gets enough credit for everything that he's done over the years. He's a huge influence on a lot of those younger guys as well, and he takes an awful lot of his own personal time to train with all them young guys and to try and elevate them as much as he can. And one of those guys he's helped out from the very beginning is Scotty Davis, because he always saw the potential in Scotty Davis. So to have sort of the teacher versus the student is a classic concept that will never get old, and that's just one of those matches. And I think that was the very first match we announced. And it was the very first match when I said I was going to do an all-in wrestling. I contacted Paul. Paul, are you available this date? Yes, I am. Second person, Scotty Davis, are you available? Yes, I am. Going to put those two guys together. That was a no-brainer for me. That was definitely the first match that I wanted to book. Make sure those two guys are available, and then we go with it. So that's I'm really, really looking forward to that match. I think a lot of people are as well. I think that'll be a sellout at the curtain as well. I think everyone wants to see that.
I definitely agree with you. It's definitely a match to look forward to. But the most interesting match, I think, overall will probably be the 5-way dance, where we'll be crowning a new champion, where it'll be Alexander Dean, Nathan Martin, Sean Guinness, Justy, and a mystery opponent yet to be announced. Now, just to verify, is this mystery opponent to be announced on the show, or will you be announcing it as it gets closer?
It's actually, I'll announce it now, it's actually Roman Reigns coming in for the show, yeah.
Oh, God.
The big dog.
Didn't see that coming.
No, what's going to happen there is the winner of Paul Tracy versus Scotty Davis is going to go into that match.
Oh, okay, that's pretty awesome.
So that's kind of an added stipulation to that match that we added a couple of days ago. So it'll be either Paul Tracy or Scotty Davis going in there. That's going to be elimination match. So it's going to come down to start with 5, go down to 4, 3, 2.
Yeah.
And the last man standing will be the new champion. So you've got so much talent in that ring. I'll just go through them briefly.
Yeah,
Justy, I think everybody knows what I think everybody knows who Justy is, because he's such a big mouth.
Yeah.
So those guys that has managed to use social media to his advantage tenfold. I mean, it's amazing how over he got. I think Justy never wrestled or appeared on a wrestling show, he'd still be over, because he uses social media just to his advantage.
Yeah.
So, but Justy again has been around since the beginning as well. Justy trained with Paul Tracy and Fergal Devitt in NWA Ireland in Bray, and he's just one of those guys that a lot of the younger guys look up to as well for advice and stuff. He's really, really good. So he's a no-brainer to put into that match. Alexander Dean is another guy, the same boat, NWA Ireland, really, really good. He's a trainer out at Fight Factory Pro Wrestling now, as is Justy. So those two guys were, again, perfect to go to that match. Sean Guinness, Sean Maxer Brennan, Sean Maxer Guinness. He's the hometown hero. He's from Naas, still lives in Naas, when he's not in Japan, that is. And everybody knows him in that town. Every single person. I've walked down the street with Sean, and you could be walking 10 minutes, but it'll take you 4 hours to get there. He knows everybody. Everyone can stop and talk to him. So, I think he's definitely going to be the fan favourite on that day. And, of course, he's fantastic as well in the ring. There's no denying how good he is. And Nathan Martin is somebody who, the first time I saw him wrestle, and he's only 18 years old, by the way.
Yeah,
the first time I saw him wrestle, I couldn't believe that he was 18 years old, first of all, and I couldn't believe that he'd only been training less than a year, I think, when I saw him first.
Yeah.
So he's just one of those guys that is just so naturally gifted and talented, and he is by far, in my opinion, he's the one to watch. He is so good, and that's taking nothing away from any of the other guys in Modern Hype, from LJ, from Darren, Scotty Davis, all those young guys, because they're all so good. And there's just something about Nathan Martin that stands out. So he was always going into that match. There was never a doubt that he wasn't going into that match, because I just think he can hang with the best of them even after the short time that he's been in wrestling. So he was a no-brainer to go in there. There was never any doubt in my mind that he was going to go into that match, and I think he's going to shine in the match as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Nathan in the match. And then, of course, you've got either Paul Tracy or Scotty Davis. So it's anyone's guess who can walk out the new champ.
It's certainly a mind scratcher. Like, any 5 of those could take that, for that match. So that makes it all the more intriguing. Now, before I let you go, where can people find tickets for the event again?
So tickets are on www.moattheatre.com. It's MOAT theatre.com. Just click on the No Limit Wrestling link and it'll bring you in, and you can book tickets there. If you prefer to speak to a human being, you can call the box office. It's 045-8830-30, and I think the box office is open Tuesday to Saturday, 11 till 5. So you can book your tickets that way as well, and they can advise you on the best seats. And that's another thing about this venue, is all the seating is numbered, it's all assigned. So you get your ticket and you're in row B, seat 2, and that's the way it goes. Okay. So that's why it's always it's very few people pay on the door, because they want to be able to choose their seats. So it is a good idea to book your tickets in advance. And that's not a marketing ploy to try and get people to buy the tickets beforehand. But that is the thing. Again, it's all tiered seating. Everyone can see. There's no visually. There's no problems no matter where you're sitting. So just if you might want an aisle seat or something, you might want to book well in advance. And just to say as well that Naas is in Kildare, but it's 20 minutes from Dublin. It's not far. It's 20 minutes from the Red Cow Lewis stop, and if you're driving, there's parking for free about 5 steps from the venue. So everybody that likes wrestling should go out and see it, should go out and support it, and hopefully the hardcore wrestling fans of Ireland will go and see the show, and to support us and to support all the guys on the show. And hopefully then they'll want to come back for the second one, because it's so good. So that's my plug.
Well, absolutely. It has all the makings for a fantastic show, from the smallest child to the biggest mag, as you said earlier. Once again, guys, it'll be happening on Sunday 23rd of September at the Moat Theatre in Abbey Street in Naas. Tickets are available at moattheatre.com. So Jamie, thank you so much for talking to us here on the Kick Out. I want to wish you all the best for the show coming up, and all the best going forward, and we hope to have you on again soon.
Look, Dave, thanks very much for having me on, and hope to see you on the 23rd.
Oh, we'll be there. So thanks very much, man.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.